Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to day 2 of our virtual landscape roadshow. I'm Tom Ewing with Proven Winners, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. We've got about a 2.5-hour program, so we'll have a break in about 5 minutes, but I just want to go over a few of our rules here today and acquaint you with some of the details on our program. Having a little trouble, Jeff, with the screen. There we go. I just want to remind everybody that we're on a GoToMeeting webinar format, so all attendees will be not visible and they will be muted and unable to speak. But we do intend to record each session, and so a link for all recordings will be sent to all attendees probably within a couple of days. And we do encourage questions today, so please use the chat feature to type in your question and we'll address those as we can. I do want to let you know that both days' presentations, if you were here on Tuesday with us, that presentation as well as today's has been approved for professional ASLA and APLD CEU credits. So if you're an APLD member, you will have an opportunity for 1 CEU credit hour for each presentation, each of our 60-minute presentations, day 1 and day 2. And these are self-reported for APLD members. So if you want to take advantage of that, you'll need to capture everything and report that on your own. If you need a certificate for attendance, just email us and we'll get that out to you. If you happen to be an ASLA member, those are also approved for credit hours, for LACES credit hours. And so each of our 60-minute presentations will have been approved for 1 hour CEU credits. And to receive those, though, you're going to need to email me your first and last name, your ASLA number, or if you have a CLARB number or CSLA number, send that, your email address, and then indicate which sessions you attended so that we can get you credit. And so you email that to me, Tom Ewing, at tewing@provenwinners.com. And then we will register you on the LACES portal, and we'll send you a certificate of attendance. So that'll need to be done. All 4 items, send it to us after the program. And for those of you that were here day 1 on Tuesday, we had 3 great presentations introducing our new annuals, perennials, and color choice shrubs for the year. And that was recorded, so everybody should know that those recordings will be, along with today's recordings, will be sent out to you in a couple of days. You can share those with your staff or your crew members if you'd like. We did have a little trouble with our second part of our program. For those of you that were attending on day 1, we could not get our audio to work for the interview with Megan Matthey. And so we will also send you that link when we send you the recordings for Tuesdays and today's program. And please tune into that and take some time to listen to that, because it's a fascinating story and give you a little background on how the Proven Winner Color Choice shrubs are developed and introduced into the marketplace. So we'll send you that link again with the recording for both days' events. And also I want to remind you that any future landscape road shows or events are on this website, provenwinnerspros.provenwinners.com, and all of our landscape programs are listed there. And so please reference this website for any future events. We now do virtual landscape road shows like today, and we also will start resuming in-person events in various regions around the country, probably in August, if everything is allowed to happen back at that time. We sure hope so. And so today's program, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to start off with Nelson Darden, and he's going to talk to you about our Heart-to-Heart Caladium program at Proven Winners, a new introduction of collections of Caladiums, and it's a fascinating story. And we're going to take about a 5-minute break, and then we have a Proven Winners certified landscape professional, Zeke Cooper, who is the Vice President of Business Development and Marketing with Dreamcatcher Hotels. And Zeke is a great friend of Proven Winners, does a lot of work with us, and he's going to share his landscape design elements using Proven Winner plants, and share with us what how he develops landscape designs and seasonal designs for some really prominent resorts. So be sure and stay with us on that. You'll love that presentation. And then we'll wrap up with 10-15 minutes with Jack Barnwell, another Proven Winners certified landscape professional. And Jack's the originator of our new Proven Winners Aquapot program. And we're going to tell you a little bit about that and how you can participate in that if you would like. So we really thank you again for taking time today and listening in. And I'd like to move next to Nelson Darden. And as I mentioned, Nelson is going to cover our new Proven Winners Heart-to-Heart Caladium program, and he'll share with you how those can be used in landscapes. And Nelson, again, is a great friend of ours. If you don't know Classic Caladiums, Abbott IPCO, they are our partners on this, our licensees for our Heart-to-Heart Caladium program. And Nelson is the National Sales Manager for Abbott IPCO Classic Caladium. So Nelson, take it away.
Hey, thanks so much, Tom. Hey, Tom, thanks so much. We at Proven Winners are real excited. Just want to do an audio check. Am I coming over too loud or am I okay?
Perfect on my end, Nelson.
Okay, all right.
It sounds good.
Okay. All right. You guys, okay, you guys seen the first screen, which is the Caladium fields?
Yes, you're good to go,
Okay.
It looks like.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Okay, hey guys, this is Nelson. I've got Alicia. She is also with on the call with us today. And what you guys are looking at here, we are a partner of Proven Winners plant brand. Caladiums in the past were never used very much in landscapes whatsoever, mainly because there was a situation with product being up and down in the cycle. And one of the things that Classic Caladiums did, and this is a great picture, one that I love, is because it's showing what the technology has done as far as bringing in a different type of production. These are laser level beds. They're 18 to 20 inches in height. And we grow our product on sand. And what that allows us to do is to have reliable production. One of the things, there were more Caladiums being produced in the late 80s and early 90s. After hurricanes and things like that caused some problems, there was insufficient Caladiums being produced, and therefore you saw a lot of genetics that were not being done properly. So what we did is that we started doing some things differently. Our founder, Harry Hollander, started doing, formed a company about 22 years ago, and we started doing some unique breeding. Most people know Caladiums as only a shade item. So one of the things we saw as a inconsistent quality, of course, supply was up and down depending on if there was too much rain or there was not enough new varieties being produced. And of course, it was unreliable supply. So a lot of consumers, including landscapers, actually saw Caladiums as a long crop, but they couldn't get supply like they wanted to. So they basically, they had some problems getting enough product to do things. Most Caladiums, actually I would say probably 98% of the Caladiums are produced in Florida, where it's quite warm and humid. This is a picture of the Lake Placid, which is about 30 minutes from our farm. As you notice is that there's a lake that's nearby here, and whenever the hurricane comes, these Caladium fields would flood. And so, because this is all produced under a loam product, it's like a black loam type soil. So you've got a soil that holds water. The beds are not raised, and what happens when you have a lake issue? Those fields will get flooded, and their supply will be reduced anywhere from 50 to 75%. I just want to give you guys some critical reasons why we felt that Caladium production was going down. So here's all the hurricanes that's in the last 15, 20 years. Just want to give you what happened. This is Florida right here. And then what happens, all the water from this particular direction goes over the lake. It will cause quite a bit of issues with farming. We're here to say that we feel that Caladiums are due so much for the landscape, for containers, mainly because you can do so many things with them, and they're also very versatile. So you can put a Caladium in shade, you can put it in sun, you can put it in all different applications, which leads to these type of opportunities for each one of them. Even all of our shade varieties are also grown in full sun. And the reason why that happens is that underneath these raised beds, we have, of course, drip irrigation, and it's also grown under a plastic field. So what you see here is that even a shade Caladium or sun Caladium will withstand anywhere from 6 to 9 months of production. We plant our Caladiums, the seed Caladiums, starting in the hot sun, of course, normally in the first couple weeks of April, and we don't harvest until normally the end of November, end of December, depending on what the weather's like. So this is Dr. Hartman. Dr. Hartman is our resident PhD. He's actually changed the breeding of the Caladium world significantly. We have almost 27 varieties that'll be in the Proven Winner program in 22. This year and 20, the Proven Winner collection is at 20. We're very fortunate. We've had a 65% increase in sales with our program. We are a huge supplier of the Dallas Arboretum. I'll show you some pictures in our slides where they're in shopping centers, where they're in homes, parks, and that type of thing, because they can sustain so much different environments. They can go from shade, they can go from sun, or sun to shade, or shade to sun, and that is something that's unique and different. And as you can see here, we got different colors going throughout the program. The thing that happened is that we changed our practices to meet the demand. That's one reason why we joined Proven Winners, is that we felt that we had a breeding practices that is unmatched, and our processes would lead to a different habit. So basically, on the Caladiums, we felt that we needed to change the protocol. So we started TCing and making sure that the mother stock was true to the original form. So a lot of times you'll see a lot of breeding that's being done, but they're not taking the breeding and continuing that. So what happens, you'll see varieties that in the market that you'll see over here to the left. This is a lure. So what happens is that you'll see a greening out, and this is what unfortunately has caused Caladium cells to deteriorate. You've got this is the original plant, which is over here. The vigor is white. It's a clean white. It's green, but most consumers don't even know that this is actually happening. This is in our minds, this is a disease plant. So most consumers, we've asked them, which one would you rather have, the one on the right or the one on the left? But because a lot of the production was being done, it's much cheaper to keep producing the same original plant over and over and over again. So all of our varieties are all TC virus index. All that means is that we're keeping the original vigor and color. But just like you guys know, Super Tunia Vista Bubblegum, Snow Princess, and some of those great Proven Winner varieties, Senorita, Rosalita, Cleome, those are all kept up quite well in the stock. But Caladiums, for whatever reason, I hate to say this, but this is more like grandma's Caladiums. They never did kept up with the virus indexing of the product. So here, one of the advantages that we do is that we wanted to make sure we have consistent quality for the industry. We are doing laser level beds, as I talked about, the plastic covered beds. But one of the things that we do differently than a lot of other companies is that we wanted Proven Winners to have an outstanding product. So what you're seeing here, this is a DI'd Caladium. Basically, all we're doing here is you see these two bulbs here is that we took the central terminal eye out of the bulb. So here is showing a tool. This is all hand done. We do it with drills today, but it's basically the same idea. We take the central terminal eye out. What that does, that causes ancillary eyes to erupt. A lot of times suppliers will take a thumbnail and take that out, but what that does, that takes all the eyes out. Every eye is a leaf. So if you look down here on the very bottom, the non-DI, it only has about, let's say 8 to 10, maybe 12 stems. As you look at it, they're elongated. A DI bulb will have a little bit different, bolder color. And you'll also see almost anywhere from 2 to 3 times as many leaves. So every leaf is a color. So that's a great benefit. It's a minimal additional fee to do that, but man, does it really change what you get as far as in that product. And then we also do painting. You'll be amazed of how many times landscape and also growers will take product and they'll plant it upside down. Eventually, they will come up because of gravity, I would like to say. But a lot of times, because they're going the wrong way, if you're getting too much water, you can rot them out. But there's a distinctive difference in a smooth size. The bulb, the smooth will go on the bottom, and the top of the rough top will go towards the top of the soil. Anyone can do that if you got experienced labor, but just a precaution to make sure that you have success in growing caladiums. Here we are here. This is, I'm going to start talking about some of the Pacific Proven Winner brands. This is White Wonder here, and this over to the left in the fields, and this is Scarlet Flame. Each one of these are all varieties that take the sun. We're starting to not talk about straps and fancies as much, because one of the things that you'll find out is that because of our leaf texture and leaf coloration, which is beautiful patterns, splotches, straight colors. This is blushing bright on the end, and then you go over here to White Wonder, which is the Caladium heart to heart of the year. But one of the things I want to show this whole 20 these leaves is that you can do so many things on color matching. It actually absolutely will bring out a bright, a dark corner, or it will highlight a container, but you can do so much for that. It makes a huge impact. When you're landscaping for labor-wise, caladiums are very quick to spike or erupt. You're looking at 2 to 3 weeks. And as long as the temperature is above 65 to 70 degrees, you will have a great type spiking, or what we call spiking or eruption, where the stems will start coming up. All the caladiums for the Proven Winners program are all DI'd. We don't want to take any precaution to have a poor product. So we DI them all the time. We do an option of not painting if the landscaper will not doesn't like for them to be painted. But it does make a difference if you want to have them painted, because you can shave off about a week to 10 days for them to coming up to start filling up that landscape. Hey, here's just a little bit again about it. It talks a little bit about all the versatility and the predictable performance. And that's why we started letting everyone know that there's no more guesswork. It's instant, long-lasting color. Those of you who live up in the north, sometimes you might want to start the bulb indoors in a greenhouse and have the plants so that if it's too cold, so like if you're in the northern Michigan, Oregon, or the Buffalo, New York areas, some of those areas where it doesn't get soil temperature till about the first week of June, you might want to start the plants indoors, and then you can plant them in the heat in the ground at that time. Caladiums are not a water hog. They're actually do quite well, but it's good to keep them irrigated because it does affect the how many leaves you have. So you do need to make sure they get sufficient water, but it's not like it's a water plant where it's going to not perform for you as well. But the main thing is that it's going to last a long time in different applications. And here we have a grower that's growing them in pots. They actually grow thousands of these. Over to the left, these are all 16-inch pots. You've got a quarter line. You've got this is I believe Scavola's Whirlwind Blue, I believe, and then you've also got a Caladium that's highlighting with the contrast of that foliage. Here over here to the right, you've got it different contrasting colors. It's pretty neat because Caladiums do not bind out; they'll stay within themselves. But what happens is that as the Caladium continues to grow, it becomes just actually much more fuller. It stays in place, but it just gets fuller. You just get more leaves onto it than what you typically do. So combos, landscapes, they do quite well. The neat thing is that you've got striking colors for color bowls, baskets. And again, because of a strap-leaf Caladium will take sun, it will also take shade. The fancy varieties will only take the morning sunlight or the filtered shade type deal. But again, you've got different venations, different color patterns, and they're just really striking and different for the landscape. This is Disney Orlando. We're located in Tampa, about an hour and a half from Tampa and an hour and a half from Orlando is where our farm is. So a lot of the Disney theme parks use our product mainly because that once they put them in there, it actually changes the look of the project, but they're long lasting. This particular job Disney did, they started putting Caladiums almost in all of their combos just because it actually changed the combo after the period of time. So what they would do is they would start off with the fern baskets and plant Caladiums in it, and in about 2 to 4 weeks, that combo would almost change that whole look. And then actually almost by the end or the middle of the season, it's almost like a full Caladium basket with just some greenery in it. So depending on how many Caladiums you put in it, it will give you a different aspect and a different look to what you want to have. Colorations, again, this is a burgundy type variety, and we're actually having those in our program. But striking, unique colors. Just imagine when this landscape did not have this particular colorations and combos. As the landscape grows, you're going to get a different look and just a unique item, because one of the things I think that's missing in our industry is that we use a lot of the same plants, and we're not getting paid what we should because of not having a unique look. So I'll show you a couple pictures here in a few minutes where a landscaper here in Dallas, Texas was awarded a full landscape for a 5-year contract just because he was giving a different look to his landscapes. This is another one. If you notice, this is on under trees, shades. A lot of times I'll look under especially in hotels, there's always an underpass or a place where you'll see a overhang or over underneath a building, and you'll see some of your shade plants that are struggling. They're not full. Caladiums, you put enough in them, you'll see that this will be a full look to your jobs, to your landscape, because the Caladiums, as it grows, it gets fuller and fuller. And so this particular situation, this is a full shaded area. You can see that St. Augustine grass loves shade. But the main thing is, as the landscape grew, so did the Caladium. So very nice look. Here you have the same thing here. This is a landscape in Florida. It's around a tree area. Perfect look, great to put around edging or around a semicircle. And whether you do a couple accent with just some of the Caladiums, or you could do mass amounts of Caladiums. Really, really unique to do this. The variety over here to the right, this is Dawn to Dusk, which is a unique shade Caladium. And what's neat, this is actually White Wonder to the right. Both of these are two varieties of Caladiums. White Wonder is a strap. It takes full sun, but like I mentioned before, it will also take full shade. So you've got a Caladium that takes full sun here, and in the back over here, this variety only takes morning sunlight or filter shade. This is where I think we're missing in the landscapes, because this variety right here, in the afternoon, come 2 or 3 o'clock, it gets full sun. This front section right here, but in the morning it's shaded. So that's the versatility of the Caladiums, is that you can have a bed. Sometimes you'll have landscapes where the back of it gets shade and the front part gets sun. This will never show any variance as far as if it being full or if it being very weak. This will continue to do well. So that's the big reason why I wanted to show this. We're real proud of our relationship with Proven Winners, because there's so many things you can do with this. This hill right here is a 15-16 foot drop off to ground level, and we have Caladium starting at the very top of this level all the way going down. And you would think that the Caladium would not hold the soil or have a good look, but it's almost like a terrace, and it gives you a great sense of what this can look like, because as you go all the way up, and again, it's not about having Caladiums all the way through there, but I think what we can do together in landscapes is do some highlights and accents. Over here to the left, you've got Caladium starting from the very bottom, going all the way to the top. And then of course, over here to the right, you've got Caladiums going throughout the whole bottom of this 15-foot drop off all the way up to the top. And again, this particular is a show garden. It stayed that way in Florida from, I believe, March, third full week of March, all the way till the end of September. We change it out mainly because we want to. We have a show gardens that are constantly coming to our location in Florida. But the main thing is we wanted to make sure that we show something different that's being showed. So Tom will be able to, any of you who want to come out to us, our place in Avon Park in September, we have open house, but it will show you all the different things you can do. One thing that's pretty neat is that once the Caladium gets established, it will hold the soil. You might want to have some areas where one landscaper did Ipomea, because Ipomea was very cheap, sweet potato vine. And what happens once the Caladium gets started, it will take over the entire bed. Again, this right here is another variety, this terrace all the way through. But again, just showing you some different patterns and different ways that you can do landscaping through the particular varieties. This particular one right here, this is facing the west sunlight. When it faces west sun, all that happens, as long as you get enough water, it will just continue to thrive and move with that particular area. But again, this is number one size Caladium bulb. We do also jumbos. We normally recommend to use a number one for landscaping because it will give you anywhere from 12 to 15, 20 plus leaves. Jumbos will, of course, will do the same thing, but you're going to have twice that many leaves. So it's all about how many holes you want to dig, because you can cut down on the amount of installation by using a bigger size bulb. This is lemon blush. Lemon blush is one of our popular varieties, mainly because lemon blush is a shade variety. And as you can tell, look how the coverage is. Here it is here in the field. It will actually do much better in the landscape because lemon blush is not known to take full sun. And as you can tell, there's no shade, there's no trees. This variety, like all of the varieties, they get planted about the second or third week of March, and they will stay in that particular environment all the way until the end of November, the end of December. They become dormant normally about October, but for the most part, all they're doing is just growing and developing more bulbs so that we can produce and send them back to you good people for your landscape jobs. But this particular variety, yes.
Hey, I've got a couple of questions here for you.
Okay.
One question from Pam Sparks. It was a couple of minutes ago. What size hanging basket and how many plants are you referring to? And then how many plants to achieve the fullness of some of these landscape shots you were showing?
Okay, thank you so much for asking. I'd rather answer the question while we can. I apologize. Most 10-inch or 12-inch hanging baskets, we recommend 4 to 5 number twos. If you've got a 12, 14-inch basket, you can cut that down to 3 number ones. But the bigger the bulb, the bigger the eyes. So I'm going to go back a little bit further. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so if you see right here, this right here is a number 2 bulb. We recommend that for a quart pot. You can do, that will cover a foot by foot landscape area. The same thing with a number 1 bulb. Every 12 inches, you can go with a number 1 bulb. You can do a zigzag, okay? So what happens when you go to the jumbos, a jumbo will cover basically a 2 square foot. It will cover double what a number 1 size would do, okay? Because you got so many eyes. A number 2 bulb will only have anywhere from 5 to 7 leaves for the most part. A number 1 will do that in double. A jumbo would do double what a number 1 will do. Okay, so you got to have 4 number 2 bulbs to do what a number 2 does. I mean, excuse me, number 1. You got to have 2 jumbos, I mean 2 number 1 bulbs to do what a jumbo bulb does. So I always work with landscapers and tell them that a jumbo bulb or a number 1 is the way to go, because you have less production, you have less labor to put in the ground. So for an 8-inch or 10-inch basket, I would only put in 1 to 2 jumbos versus using 4 to 6 of a number 2 bulb. So what we have on our website, we also have this of how you can do a schematic of a landscape bed. So many jumbos to an area, so many number 1s to an area. But in most cases, a number 2 right here would do 1 square feet. A number 1 would do 2 square feet. A jumbo would do 4 square feet. Okay, if you want, and what we do, we overplant a little bit more we cut it down depending on the price of the landscape, because what's going to happen eventually, it will fill out. One jumbo will cover it easily an 18 by 18 inch area, but it'll take a little bit longer. You know, so that's the big difference, is that in some jobs, if you got time, you can wait, you can fill in slowly and let that plant fill out. But if you got a job that needs to be quicker, needs to be more impactful, then you need to put them in a list a little bit closer. But for the most part, a #1 bulb zigzag every 12 inches in a zigzag pattern will cover easily a 1 to 1.5 square foot area. And there's one more question was there one more question I think it was?
No, I think you've covered it all. Thank you, Nelson.
Okay. So lemon blush, these are seedlings. And when they first start out, these seedlings, all you see is plastic. And then after about 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, you don't see any plastic. Then after about 8 to 10 weeks, all you see is leaves. And that's what you're seeing here. I'm pretty excited because now what you see here is this is the contractor at the Dallas Arboretum. When this job first started off, all you saw was a sweet potato vine, which grows like a weed. We all know that. This particular contractor did lemon blush every 2 feet. I think it was every 18 inches to 2 feet with a #1 size bulb. Okay, so now this landscape is changing every week and a half. When it first started, all you saw was Artemisia, and as lemon blush started spiking out, that's when you saw all the changing happening. So here, anybody see any Artemisia? It did not win. The proven winner varieties are a little bit more aggressive, but I think what this does, this gives you a total different look of what landscaping is. And of course, look at the trees. You guys see the ferns there. Ferns are pretty much a 100% shade item, but all you see is these feathered type varieties. We at Classic Abidipco, we fought about making lemon blush the 2022 Caladium of the Year for Heart to Hearts. So it's actually White Wonder for 2021, and Raspberry Moon, which you guys will see later, is for 2022. So these are items, they're not weak. Again, I want to go back to what we were talking about, is that we TC vigor these. So the vigor of these Caladiums are not like they were in the past. And I think that's the reason why most landscapers got away from using Caladiums, is because the vigor was not as strong. And these are game changers. Every last one of them are game changers. So this particular one, I wanted to show you lemon blush. This is four number ones in a 12-inch pot. It's actually a little bit too many, but because the retailer wanted to have these for a quick sale, they could have probably went to 4 #2s or 5 #2s and done the same thing. So the amount of bulbs you put to a pot will actually do well as long as you got the right amount of time. Okay. This over to the left, starting to the left, this is Fast Flash and Bottle Rocket. Bottle Rocket is phenomenal. It's a white large leaf with red veins, and as it matures, as most Caladiums do, the juvenile leaf will start off a different color, and as this Caladium matures, heart to heart, as it matures, this is Bottle Rocket, the red venation will actually start extruding out to the edge of the leaf. No different than lemon blush. Lemon blush starts off chartreuse, and you see a small red venation happening on the very end of it. As it matures, you'll see that red just starting to just almost take over the type of leaf that it has there. So this is Bottle Rocket, and this is at the Disney World Orlando in Florida. And they told us that they have about 12 to 15 of these towers. I think they said they were anywhere from 12 to 14 feet. And they all said that it was the #1 place where people come to take take pictures of plants and also to take photos. And all of this is a Caladium tree. Here, this is to the right, this is Chinook, phenomenal variety. This was planted in April in Texas, Tyler, Texas. And this photo was taken in September. So in this a whiskey barrel, we actually put in we put in a whole tray of 4-inch Caladiums. We probably should have only put in about 10 or 12. We actually took some of the plants out, but the problem was we had a huge Mother's Day show, so we wanted it to be full. So we went along here after about 4 weeks or 6 weeks and took about 5 or 6 of the Caladiums out. And as you can see, it's just mounds on top of mounds of Caladiums. Key thing here that I like is that in Caladiums, you're not waiting on any color. You know, most things you'll have a plant comes up. As soon as the plant comes up and it starts spiking, you're going to have color. This is lemon blush, and on top of here, this is dawn to dusk. Blushing bright. This is a Caladium heart to heart that takes full sun. It's also one of my favorites because I get told that I'm always lying every time they say, Nelson, that's a different variety. This is the same variety. And like I was saying earlier, if you look in the center combo, most of the Caladiums will start off one color, and as it changes, it turns into the mature color. So you look at this, blushing bright has white, a lot of white area with green areas on the very edges of it. Okay, so it's got a begonia. Actually, it's got a double impatient on the top. So imagine you've got a plant that will take shade, but you also have a Caladium that will accent it that takes shade and sun. So this is blushing bright. So the more sunlight it gets, the more color it changes. And of course, this is sword fern, and sword ferns will take full sun. So this has many uses, many colors, different applications that you can be succeeding. If you make a mistake, if you use your strap leaf varieties, hey, I'm not for sure if this is a sun area. You know, most of the time consumers will say, hey, I'm not for sure if I get more sun. One of the guys at the Dallas Arboretum on the early ages, or early days, I guess not early days, I'm starting to show my age. In the mid 2008, 2010, a lot of trees were cut down and changed. So they had a lot of hydrangeas or other items underneath that area. So they started putting Caladiums there because they didn't know what kind of sun application would be. So when you start, moving trees or cutting trees, if you go with a different type of Caladium, you can be assured on the strap leaves, especially, it will meet both of those criteria. This is White Wonder. This particular Caladium had 5 #2s for a 10-inch pot, or you can do 3 #1s. This is a 10-inch pot as well. Look how full that is. This is the Caladium of the year, heart to heart. It can, again, Caladiums can be a thriller, filler, or spiller, sun or shade. Unique, totally different. This is White Wonder with a geranium. Again, this is the heart to heart Caladium of the year. Geranium by itself is not too appealing, but you have just one #2 Caladium to it, and it totally changes that combo up. Same thing with Bottle Rocket. I can't remember the specific variety for the Hypoestus, but again, Hypoestus takes more shade, and all Bottle Rocket did was just add some complexity to it. This is huge. This particular combo, this is of course Dichondra, and Dave Consier in Chicago, he added White Wonder to it and actually totally changed what that looked like. That's a combo. And then here's Bottle Rocket. If you can look here in the middle, Bottle Rocket gets a little bit more sun right here, this particular bed. But look what it did for that whole landscape. It just gave that whole landscape some color all the way throughout. Of course, if you look at it on Facebook, phenomenal views on what it did on Facebook. It had over 2,000 Facebooks like on the glorious gardens of Proven Winners. Scarlet Flame, bulletproof. It has a rose pink, dark red foliage to it. This particular combo was in Florida heat up against a wall. It was there for 5 months. They actually tore it out just because they wanted to have a new look in front of the office, but it never went down. This right here is in a 12-inch pot, and I believe they put 4 number 1s in it, but really you could have did 4 or 5 number 2s. It would take a little bit longer, but that's the look you got. Over here to the right, this is a 22-inch pot. It's underneath the eave of a house, doing quite well, quite full. I go back to these varieties. This is Chinook. Here's Lemon Blush underneath the eave of a window. You guys know what ligularias are. Ligularias will only take the shade. Look what color it did with this particular varieties. Mesmerize, Flatter Me. This is what I was talking about as far as going down the very bottom of the landscape all the way up to the very top. We terrace Caladiums, different varieties in that. Look how full that is. Again, this was planted probably 8 inches for show, but you could do the same thing and done it on a foot, every foot in a zigzag stair step. It could have did the same thing. White Star is a 2022 Caladium variety that will be introduced here in the next few months. Sorry. This is what I was talking about, going from shade to sun. Here's sun on the end, shade in the center, deep shade. Looking to the very back, you got deep shade here. Combos, spillers, thrillers, accents, all of those make a huge, huge difference. This is our show garden actually in Florida. Striking, again, full sun. This is west sun all afternoon. And then you've got deep shade as you go back in through these trees. This is Scarlet Flame. Again, phenomenal variety, great accent, great combos. Will just absolutely fill the ground and give you a good look. Combos with elephant ear foliage plants. Again, all the different colors and textures, splotches, patterns, they just really do a great job. As you guys know, Laura from Garden Answer does a phenomenal job for our industry, mainly Proven Winners. She is so passionate, it's crazy. Caladium was the #1 post on Facebook last year for 2020. So we kind of feel a little bit jealous of Proven Winners because we've been working with Caladiums for over 20 years. Proven Winners introduced them for 1 year, and people think Proven Winners introduced Caladiums, almost like Chick-fil-A and the cow. Chick-fil-A just did some marketing, and it's working. I can tell you that most consumers love Caladiums. They just did not have the right genetic or the correct vigor. But here you have Laura here. She's overwhelmed. Look at the colors of these. This is the same plant. You got a pink leaf, which is the mature leaf, and you got a white and pink, which is the juvenile leaf. So as that leaf matures, it actually will start turning colors. This is White Wonder. This is the Caladium of the year, heart to heart. You got Radiance here, you got Fast Flash here. Again, 20 unique different varieties. I love showing this particular variety because this is what is crazy. This is Chinook in the landscape. This is Chinook over to the right, inside a window in Michigan, and never left that window. You've got it here underneath the tree in a planter, and you got it in the landscape with hydrangeas. And you saw how full that was here. Versatile for landscapes, versatile for pot crops. Also, it does great for cut flowers. You can put it in a cut flower application for 2 weeks to 3 weeks and stays well in water. Here are some ladies at a home and garden show. They fought over these planters. Again, this was the landscape of White Wonder. And then here's the bulb, de-eyed, in a pot, April 11th, April 18th, May, June, July. It never left the window. Same place, August through September. We're not saying that it's a foliage plant. We just think it's underutilized. Lasting shelf life, great colors, does well in pots. This is lemon blush, the same plant that you guys saw in fields forever. Lots of uses, house plants, landscapes, retail applications. They last long on carts. Here it is, the first time at a show. It cultivate in Ohio in clay pots or ground. It really doesn't matter. It's endless opportunities. You've got it in a whiskey barrel. You've got it in the ground with a combo with black crepe myrtles, good contrasting colors. Here's a grower here in Miami. They were upset that they grew these. They had a average of sell-through of 96%. This one was 100%. Lemon Blush was 97%. And Fast Flash, I believe, was 92%. I love this combo here because this is a 14-inch pot. We put 5 number 2 Caladiums on the outside of this, and in 6 weeks, this is what we had. That's a 14-inch pot. A lot of people think, well, that's a huge pot. No, it's not. I went around and took the photo with my phone at level. Here it is. This right here is at a flagpole in Dallas in front of our office. This is White Wonder, Scarlet Flame, elephant ear combos. It doesn't matter. Ideas and concepts you can put them all with. This is at a rose garden. Roses cycle out. As you cycle out or hydrangeas cycle out, the Caladiums will always be in color. So you got here, you've got Blushing Bride, you got Chinook, and you got Heart and Soul. These are all 3 varieties of proven winners. This is White Wonder. Imagine this without the color that you have here. And this was that way the whole entire season. Again, going back to the ideas and concepts, you can just put a few in, or you could just add a little, what's the commercial? A little Dabadooya, just to change the concept and look of the combo so that number one, you'll have a great lasting product, but you'll also have uniqueness and different designs that only a proven winner landscape garden deserves. I'm going to quickly go through some of the new varieties. This is Hot Flash. Hot Flash is a bright, shiny red. This is for 2022. Very full. It hugs the ground. This is a shade variety that will actually take more sun than most other varieties will. This is Explosion. Explosion is unique because it's chartreuse, but as it matures, this red venation on the end of it will actually almost turn the plant a reddish color. So you got a lime olive green color starting off with that eventually, as it matures and grows, you're going to have that red popping out of that leaf from the center, and that's why we call it Explosion. Clowning around, we wanted to name this one Dumbo. You can see how full that is, and this is a shade variety, but it's growing in full sun. If you look over here to the right, it has rose vein and these little chartreuse pockets all the way through here. If you rub your fingers underneath the leaf, it's very, very unique and thick. That's why the genetic of our caladiums have changed because of our breeding. So the jumbo, I almost call it jumbo, I'm sorry, clowning around, one of the things you'll find out, it almost like your the packing paper or the packing bubbles, those little olive green pockets, it almost look like it's a blister, but it's actually a Thai breeding. We have Thai blood breeding that's actually been bred in the caladiums, and that's what's changing the uniqueness of these varieties. But what you'll find here is you have deep lobed leaves that are actually making a great characteristics. Clowning around will actually grow horizontal and vertical at the same time. That's why you can't tell which way these leaves are growing. Twisting plant. One of the things that landscapers struggle with is, I think, is time. And this is Jack Barnwell. This is not a commercial for Jack Barnwell. I tease him about this all the time. But Jack was planting caladiums. You can do them with the pots, or you can do them actually with containers. But this little tool here is a 3 by 12 or 3 by 24. This will save any landscaper at least 50 to 75% of their planting time. We do a lot of contests with guys with shovels and are using a drill. This is the Proven Winners authorized type auger. The difference with this auger is patented. There's a lot of trash augers on the market that don't work, which is a lot of the reason why augers get a bad name. This particular one was custom made for Proven Winners. This is a shorter version, and this will actually plant a gallon or 2 gallon plant like crazy. And I always hear from guys saying, well, it won't go through my soil. These are all patented tips, and they're not hollow. They're made with US steel. A lot of varieties are out there, get produced by China, and they bring them over to America. I've actually taken one of those augers and bend them around my neck. So I can assure you that you're not going to bend any of these twisting plant augers around anyone's neck. That concludes my portion of this. If there's any questions, this is just another shot of our fields. But if there's any other questions, I'd be glad to entertain them.
Nelson, I've got a couple from my end here. One, could you address the, a lot of people ask, can they use these bulbs year after year? What do you do with them after one season?
Okay. Caladiums are annuals. They're tropical annuals. Everybody wants to hold on to a caladium or an elephant ear, and I always share this same sentiment. In the landscape world, you guys saw the landscape project that was awarded to a landscaper at the in Dallas. You're going to get a 40 to 50% bigger the second year. And that's why caladiums get such a bad name, is that we're taking something, it's exhausted. That bulb needs to be rejuvenated each year. So we cut those bulbs up in seedlings, we put them back in the ground, and then they become, for lack of better words, they get their vigor back. And then they get put in the ground for the first year. Once you put something down in the closet, you're not going to professionally give it enough chance to go dormant and revigorize itself and put it back in the ground, and we expect it to perform. It's not a shrub, it's not a tree, it's not a perennial, it's a tropical annual bulb. So I know people do that a lot, and it's okay, but from a professional standpoint, I don't think you should put your name on it. You can if you want to. It's a luck of the draw. Sometimes certain varieties will do quite well for 2 or 3 years, but to have your name on that and have the spotty performance, that's the only thing that we tell people. It's a tropical annual.
Okay, great, Nelson. Also, could you address if people want to order these, what's the process?
Hope and pray we have enough. The process, you can email our sales and coordinator at Abbott IPCO. She's on the call. Tom, you have her email address. 4-Star, our partner is 4-Star, and Pleasant View Gardens. They also are taking orders. So either way, because we're all partners with this, but just giving us the actual order. We actually stopped selling heart-to-heart Caladiums because of the demand was so great that we actually stopped selling the bulbs actually to December 1st. Now, and the reason why we did that, we're farmers. The first year we grew, we had 1.7 million that was produced for Proven Winners. We're going to be close to selling 3.8, 3.9 million this year. So we're in the middle of digging. We got about 75% digging left. 75% already completed. So as we dig, we're finding out that we're getting a few more of different varieties that's left. And what's going to happen if we have some orders from landscapers, we'll be able to fulfill those orders. But we just need to get the order in just so that we can confirm it. The demand has on Proven Winner landscape heart-to-hearts has been overwhelming. We've had good success. Again, great task to the team for their marketing, but these are really game-changing plants. It's just we didn't market it or give enough credit to what Proven Winners could do. But next year we'll have probably 6.5 to 7 million, which is a huge number.
Nelson, we have another question coming in.
Okay.
Can you explain packing and ship dates to the northern regions and provide some information like temperature in greenhouses for sprouting and finishing?
Okay. Temperature for greenhousing or temperature anywhere needs to be 65 to 70 degrees up. If you're at 80 degrees, you've got a happy Caladium, because that's what makes a Caladium spike. It's the temperature. So if you want to go slow, put it at 60 degrees or 65 degrees. You're going to go so slow you might rot the bulb out. So that's why we tell people in the landscaping, don't even put it in the ground until your soil temperature is consistently 65 to 70 degrees. And if you're in the northern parts, we tell them to grow it in the greenhouse first. And then if you grow them in the greenhouse first, now you've got a plant that's already started that will get going. But a lot of times, if you start a bulb in the north, it doesn't do as well. By the way, the northern growers, we ship a lot to Michigan. We ship a lot to Buffalo, New York. What we do is that we ship in pool trucks. If the freight break even for a pool truck is 15 cases. 12 to 15 cases, that means that's better than a FedEx or UPS shipment. If you only need 1 or 2 boxes, the freight's going to be significant, but we can do it. And you'll still pay off, because look what you'll get in your landscapes when you plant a Caladium. The thing we do is that we ship in a winterized box. It actually come in a 1.5 to 2-inch styrofoam, and we put a heat pack in it so that you don't go through 24, 28 degrees. We will not ship, even though it's winterized with a heat pack in it. We're not going to ship when it's 20 degrees or 15 degrees. We just think it's not safe to have cold temperatures, because cold temperatures will hurt that bulb.
Nelson,
Can I add something that, let me add one more thing to that.
Oh, okay.
Having Caladiums early in the season, unless you're going to provide heat to it, is no really good reason to get them in super early. I know the northern markets, sometimes they'll bring their Caladiums in March, which is fine. But if you're not going to have good heat until the middle of May, it's just going to take longer for that bulb to grow. So crop time on Caladiums, once it's real warm, is anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks in mid-season, 8 to 10 weeks in the early season. So you can put a Caladium in the ground in June in the southern market, and it's 4 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. Some of those landscapes in Miami, they were spiking and covering the ground in 2 to 3 weeks. We actually had to slow them down. They were growing so fast. But as you get long days, that's what makes the difference in your Caladiums. So when you get long days, that's a big deal.
Nelson, if our landscapers are planning and designing their beds for next season, 2022, what would you suggest as far as pre-order time to make sure they get their orders?
Anytime this summer, I would say, and that's a great question, by the way, anytime by July, August would be great. Again, we're producing 2 million plus more bulbs than we did this year. Actually, almost 3 million.
Okay. Jeff, Jane, any other questions from your end?
No, I don't see any more questions.
Okay, for Nelson, thank you so much. What a great presentation, a terrific product, and it's really helpful, I think, to our attendees to get enlightened on the newest Caladium varieties. We appreciate your time today, Nelson.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, and Alicia, thanks for checking in with us as well. We appreciate your time. So for the attendees, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. So we'll come back just a little before 15 after the hour. And our next speaker will come up, that'll be Zeke Cooper. And I want you to stick around because he's got a great story to share with us how he designs Proven Winner plants into showcases at some really awesome resorts. So stay with us and we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Hopefully everybody's back in their seat, ready for the second part of our program today. I want to introduce Zeke Cooper. Zeke is the Vice President of Business Development and Marketing for Dreamcatcher Hotels. And I met Zeke, gosh, it seems like my whole life ago. It's probably been more like about 7, 8 years, I guess. And I tell Zeke, I think once a week, that there needs to be 2 of him, because I don't know how he does everything as one person, but he is a terrific friend of mine, terrific friend of Proven Winners, and he is a certified landscape architect. And when I first met him, he was ground supervisor at an incredible resort that I think he'll share with you today called Harrah's Cherokee Casino Resort in Cherokee, North Carolina. And he has since moved to Dreamcatcher Hotels, and it's incredible the work that they're doing, and it's exciting for us to have him here today and tell you what he does. He designs a lot of beds for many real prominent resorts, and I know that'll be part of his presentation today. And I wanted everybody to see what he does and how he goes about designing these beds, because it's pretty exciting. So Zeke, if you're ready, go ahead.
I'm ready, and I think my wife would argue about cloning 2 of me. I think one's all she can handle. I agree with you. Thanks, Tom. Again, I always say this about Tom. Tom's been a great friend of mine, a great mentor, and if you ever get the chance to meet him, you need to, because he's probably one of the best human beings you'll ever meet in your life. So thank you, Tom and Jane and the whole Proven Winners team for asking me to talk today. I don't know if you can see my video and see me talking, but I'm sure you can see my screen. So again, thank you guys very much. And as Tom said, I do a few different things. I am a partner in Dreamcatcher Hotels. We're a hotel and resort development company, as well as having my own landscape architecture firm that's still up and going. I've had that for over a decade now, and it's still going strong. So anything that you want to learn more about me, you can go to zekecooper.com and see that. So make sure this thing's going to work for me. All right. So as Tom said, I'm a landscape architect, and I am based in Western North Carolina. So as you can see on this map, the little A pin says Harrah's Cherokee Casino Resort. That's where Cherokee, North Carolina is. That's where I grew up, way over in the mountains of North Carolina. Went off to school for a while, worked in some other places throughout the Southeast, but I came home. I couldn't stay away from the mountains of North Carolina. So if you've never been there, I hope you can make it down our way and check out how beautiful it is where we're at. I've been very fortunate and through my career, and the reason I say that is I got out of graduate school and started a business, a landscape architecture firm with a professor partner of mine about 2008-ish. And so there's probably a lot of people that just groaned on watching this, because you know what was going on about 2008. It's a great time to start a business, let me tell you, right in the middle of the recession. But as I came back home and I started this business, and the casino in town was right in the middle of a big expansion. So I went up there just kind of begging for work, and got offered a job, which I'll talk more about in just a second. Now, Cherokee is an Indian reservation. I'm Native American. I was raised on an Indian reservation. And a couple slides. This is not Cherokee. We didn't wear headdresses. We didn't really dress like this, even though kind of the shirt in a way. I like the guy in the headdress, and then you got the Washington Redskins jacket right over there beside him. Cherokees didn't wear headdresses. This is all Native Americans out west. A lot of misconceptions about Cherokees. And listen, your great-great-grandmother is not a Cherokee princess. We didn't have Cherokee princesses. We're flattered that you want to be a part of our tribe and you want to be a part of our history, but we didn't have Cherokee princesses. But hey, if you can search your lineage back to Cherokee, please get on our roll, and we'd love to have you. And we definitely want you to come visit. Cherokees did not live in teepees. This is another misconception. And my dad actually owned a restaurant when I was growing up called the Teepee, and I used to get mad at him. I'm like, Dad, we didn't live in teepees. Why are you going to a restaurant called the Teepee? But we lived in longhouses. Anyway, another misconceptions about Cherokees. This is the Plains Indians, another great culture. We didn't have totem poles. That's Pacific Northwest, Native Americans, not Cherokees. So you're probably thinking, all right, Zeke, so you've told us everything that you're not as a Cherokee, and I could give you a whole list of everything that we are a Cherokee and go through our history and culture. But one important thing we have now, we have casinos. So that probably, hopefully you're laughing hysterically at that. My wife's rolling her eyes somewhere because she knows I'm giving this presentation, and every time I tell that joke, she just kind of rolls her eyes at me. She doesn't think it's funny after about the 100th time. This is Harris Cherokee Casino Resort. Again, this is in the middle of the mountains of western North Carolina, and so you're thinking, what kind of casino do they have on an Indian reservation in the mountains of North Carolina? Oh, it's probably this little podunk kind of metal building casino. Well, actually, it's not. It is a massive facility. It's the largest gaming floor in the entire Caesars brand throughout the country. We've got 1,100 rooms. Our hotel development company is adding on another 800 rooms on over to the left of this picture that you're looking at. But we're very lucky, as you can see. This casino could, it's big enough and nice enough, and it could sit, on the Las Vegas Strip or Atlantic City or somewhere like that. But we're nestled down in the mountains, and so we're very fortunate because we have these beautiful surroundings. We have the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is 5 miles from the entrance of the North Carolina side. It's 5 miles from this property. We have 4 beautiful seasons throughout the year, and we're just very fortunate to where we're at. So whenever I went up to the casino begging for work, I got offered a job. They didn't have anybody over the landscape. Everything was design build. And everything was moving fast because it's a casino, and they had nobody. The guy that was over the grounds had just retired with some health issues kind of suddenly, and so they offered me a job. And hey, the business wasn't doing real well, so I figured, hey, I better take this job and see where it goes, just for a little while. Well, I stayed there for probably 8 years, I guess, and learned a lot. But the funny part about this, I'm right out of graduate school. I'm in my late 20s. And you're probably thinking, oh, we're out of graduate school, late 20s. What was he doing in graduate school? Like, listen, I had a lot of fun my first 3 or 4 years of college and flunked out a couple times. My dad tells me that lots of people went to school for 10 years. They're called doctors. I'm not a doctor, but I do have a master's in landscape architecture. So as I went up there and I started this job, all of a sudden I'm mid to late 20s, and I've got 28 people that work for me, just like that. Now, I had some decent jobs at some other places and ran a business for a while, but I had never led people to that extent. And of all those 28 people, the youngest one out of that whole crew was 10 years older than me. So I had a lot of people that were a lot older than me, and they were like, what in the world is this guy doing, and why do we have to listen to him? So I made every management mistake in the book. Like, if you think of a bad management decision, I'm the guy that made it. I made it, and it was terrible. And, but it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it taught me how to manage people. It taught me how to work with people. It taught me how to bring all these people together to create something really special. And again, we made a lot of mistakes. We had a lot of fun, and we're very proud of what we did, which is what I'm going to share with you now. So this is a picture looking down at kind of the main entrance. This is a 30,000 square foot green roof. So, we did some pretty neat stuff in this construction project. And one of those things is this green roof that's over the portico. And so if you look at it, it's got 6 different bands. They're all different varieties of sedums. And as a landscape architect, I love green roofs. I'm like, man, that green roof's so cool. Like, that's the coolest thing. But as the guy that was responsible for taking care of this thing, I hated this roof. It was really cool, but man, they are really hard to take care of, especially if the maintenance isn't really thought out well in the beginning, and that's something I'll talk about towards the end of my talk. This roof, as you can see, is arched. It doesn't have any handrails, so anytime guys would have to go up there, they'd have to be like chained off, or they still do. They have to be chained off and roped off and walk around there hand picking weeds. So in concept, it's a great green roof, and I love it now because I'm not responsible for taking care of it. But it's a pretty cool feature of the resort. We are proud of it. I joke about how bad it is to take care of, but it is pretty neat. So as I told you before, the next couple of pictures, I'm going to show you some before and after. So the casino was in the middle of this big $650 million expansion, and all this is part of that. So as you guys know, the landscape is always the last thing. It's the last thing budgeted, and we've got a joke as landscape architects that our plans are always at the back of the documents because they're the first ones pulled out whenever people start going through and cutting budgets. So, and what happens inevitably, every construction project, everybody's running late, everybody's trying to get open. Well, everybody forgets about the landscapers, and we get thrown in right at the end, and it's like, oh yeah, well, you guys can make it look pretty real quick. So this is a picture on, we were opening this property on a Monday. This is taken on Friday afternoon. And so we had the soil, the topsoil was in, all the irrigation was in. You can kind of see the pipes as they're kind of stuck up through there. So we had all that stuff roughed in. But you know, we had this thing's opening, having a big grand opening. The governor was coming, all these people were coming on Monday. And so these guys thought I was crazy when I pulled in the construction lights for this area. So this is on Friday afternoon, and this is on Monday morning. It was pretty cool. It was pretty neat. It was all hands on deck. Now, obviously, the green roof is done in the picture, but you can see all the plants down there. And I know there's somebody sitting at their computer right now, and they're like probably way up on the screen, and they're looking. They're like, those are river birches, and those river birches are really close. Yes, they are. They're way too close. You would never plant river birches on 10, 12-foot centers. The reason we plant everything like this at this casino is because we needed instant gratification. This thing was opening. It's going to be open 24/7. So we bought as big a plants as we could. You can see some of the roses in there are already blooming, as well as the flowers. We bought a lot of this stuff beforehand and grew it out back behind the property in different areas. So whenever we threw it in the ground, it would be pretty full. This is another picture of that that Monday night. You can see some hydrangeas over on the road median. Those are some things that we grew out. We bought early and grew out. So all this is in August. And so it's really hot. We've got guys out there hand watering, irrigation's running nonstop. It was quite the adventure. This is a picture of the next season. I just wanted to kind of show how everything filled out. This has got some different annuals. Another picture, this is that Friday afternoon, the same one I showed you a second ago. And then Monday night. It's pretty remarkable how much stuff we got done at that point. This is in front of the event center. This is a big 3,000 seat event center, great music venue. Again, this is that weekend. I mean, if you really look, you can still see the seams in the sod and how the sod's kind of bumpy. But it was pretty remarkable what we got done. As I was talking about earlier, we're very fortunate to be in the mountains and have this beautiful natural surrounding. And one of the things that we have going for us, we got this big creek. Some might call this a river, some might call it a brook or a stream. We call it Soco Creek in the mountains. This runs right through the middle of the property. So on the left side of this picture is the casino, some of that stuff I just showed you, and on the right side are the hotel towers. All of these walls were built after a flood in 2000, I think it was 14, had massive floods come through and wiped out this entire area, flooded the banks, ruined a bunch of stuff, so we had to go back and rebuild kind of all of this area. And what's really neat, we want at this casino, that was one of the focuses. Yeah, you want people inside, you want people playing slot machines, but we also wanted people to get outside and experience Cherokee and experience the mountains. So what we did was we built these, these terraced walls, these little areas that you can kind of see from the other area, across the creek, and people go down and you can see that there's a guy fishing there. And it's pretty cool to be able to create this kind of outdoor environment at a casino, a resort. This is the Riverwalk. This area goes down along that creek I just showed you. This is actually the Proven Winners signature garden at Harris Cherokee Casino. Very proud of this, of how all this turned out. I'm going to talk about a plant now, and I have to admit I have a problem. I know Tom and Jane have heard this a lot, and they know I have a problem because I've been talking about this plant for 5 years now. Anybody see that Dusty Miller? The Artemisia? Oh, it's amazing. It's the white flower, the white plants on flower, the white plant along the bottom of those begonias. I'm going to talk about it a little more as we go through this because I love that plant. But, again, we're very proud of this area. A lot of people get out here, but then I look at this picture and I see this woman with a cigarette, and I'm like, she's getting ready to toss that dang cigarette butt over there in that flower bed, and our guys are going to have to pick it up. Oh, people. Anyway, so Here's another picture of the Riverwalk, and looking down through there. And again, I know the crepe myrtles are way too close to the building, but we plant stuff tight and we plant it and we try to get it big to make an immediate impact. You can see a lot of people using this area. You guys are seeing that Dusty Miller pop along that concrete, aren't you? It's awesome. This is a picture from I don't know, a couple years ago. And so look at that Dusty Miller. It's an amazing plant. This is actually silver Cascade Artemisia that you can get from Proven Winners. It's a proven selection. It's a great plant. And you know what I really like, if you look back in this picture, this was one of the first years, and then we waited 3 or 4 years and kind of did this design again. In this picture, and you look at the begonias, you don't see really anything in them because there's nothing but the begonia. It's the silver Cascade Artemisia and then the begonias. Well, 4 or 5 years later, we wanted to do kind of the same look just because it really popped, but we wanted to do something just a tad different. And so what we did is threw in this plain the blue salvia in between all those begonias. And so it just really threw that spike of color up. It gave some different texture to this bed. And you know, as the season kind of progressed and the flowers went from a light purple to a dark purple, it just added a really nice touch. And these are just kind of thrown in sporadically. I mean, we bought a bunch and we just kind of told the guys, you know, hey, get them anywhere, space them through out there anywhere from, you know, 6 to 12 inches, just kind of sporadically. We just kind of want them to pop up and shoot this pop of color up through those begonias. And so you can see it on that back wall back there. It just really gives a really nice touch and layering. This is that earlier picture. I forgot I had this on here. So you can see it. Yeah, it's a great composition without it. But when we add those salvia, it just gives another dimension to this bed. This is one of those plants. We had never had good luck with white petunias. I don't know what it was. It was like they hated Cherokee or something. We could not get a white petunia to do good at all. In hanging baskets, nothing. They just never did. Well, this year, whenever this was 2016 or 17, the casino was having a huge like 4th of July party, and it was something they'd been planning for months. So whenever we designed the bed, just all right, we're going to use these red, white, and blue petunias. Obviously, the blue is a royal velvet purple, but we wanted this red, white, and blue because we knew that in the summer they were going to have this big week-long kind of Independence Day celebration. And so I said, well, let's just get a bunch of the white petunias and mix them in there, and they'll just provide a little bit of color, but the red and purple will take over. And inevitably, you know, plants prove us wrong. That's what they do, you know. And so you can see the white ones just took over. It's still beautiful, but it's just one of those unexpected things, you know. And that's what happens in this profession. So this is a picture taken on that Riverwalk. This is like a typical Saturday. No, I'm just kidding. I wish it was. It's really not. This was taken during the eclipse. So whenever the eclipse was, I forget now, it all runs together 3, 4, 5 years ago, whenever it was. This is everybody that was out there on that Riverwalk. And I show this picture because, you know, with what we do in landscapes and creating these gardens, you know, people are going to use our spaces in so many different ways. And they're going to use them in spaces that we expect they're going to use it in ways that are unexpected. And so, you know, we had never had this many people out there. We had no idea we were going to get this many people out there for the eclipse because we just figured everybody'd keep gambling. But, you know, look how many people are out there. So we have to use pretty hardy plants at this facility. And so as I was, you know, learning this 10 years ago about what plants are we going to use, I really got stuck on Proven Winners plants because, again, we have expected uses and unexpected uses. And I know their plants are going to perform. I know when there's this many people out there, or there's just one person walking down through there, those plants are going to put on a show because they're proven winners. They've been tested. They're tried and true and all of this stuff. And I also know that they can take the abuse. You know, they can take somebody leaning back on them or somebody stepping on them or not as much water or too much sun. They can take that abuse. And so that's one reason that I got so kind of invested with Proven Winners plants is because I was running this huge property, this 60-acre property with a lot of people. I didn't have time to worry about if all the money we were spending on plants was going to be wasted because the plants weren't going to be any good. So we were going to buy the best quality plants we could get, so we didn't have to worry about that. Which leads me to these people, like, they're sitting on the wall. Like, what are you doing in our flower bed? Like, I was down there, I was shaking. I'm like, I'm telling our GM, he's a friend of mine. I'm like, Brooks, let me go tell those people to get off the wall. He's like, no, you can't. And they may be big players. I'm like, Brooks, they're in our flowers. He's like, I know they're in your flowers, but you can't get them off of them. And I'm just like, man, like, don't sit on the wall. And this is what happens. And then people get up, they've like squished our flowers. But again, expected and unexpected uses. So we always at this property, and some of the other properties I'll talk about in a few minutes, we always buy about 10% more of every plant. And, you know, we did it a couple different ways at this property. We would go in and we would just keep some kind of back around where their maintenance building was and just kind of grow them throughout the year. Or we would just kind of create beds here and there, these bigger beds, and fill in with our extras. So then when somebody does sit on the wall and destroys your plant, you've got a mature plant that was grown at the same time, then we can just come running right back over there. But people, man, oh man, they just destroy it. Anyway, this is the pool. This was also done during the time I was there. So we designed everything. We laid out all the hardscape as a landscape architect. I did all the conceptual drawings, and then a lot of the conceptual stuff for all the landscape. Another architecture firm did the hardscape with the pool and the bar that you can kind of see back there in the background. Beautiful resort pool. One thing that we've got in this area is very tight. As you can tell, it's a pretty tight area. It's nice, but it's pretty tight. So we've got these cabanas. The casino rents those out from anywhere from like $500 to $1,000 a day on the weekends. But they're very close to everything. And so, you know, if somebody's paying that much for this cabana, they wanted to have some kind of area or kind of something to separate them from, you know, everybody else playing in the pool, so they kind of have a private area. So what we did, we put these big planters in there, and these are all annuals. You'll see a couple different designs throughout the years how we've changed them. But you know, whenever it's real easy to say, okay, let's have the containers. And now this was before Jack Barnwell's aquapot. So Jack, if you're listening, this was before you had the aquapot. So I didn't have that option back then. I wish I did, because it would have made this easier. But what we did to get water and drainage out of these, you know, a lot of times you get a container and it's like, I got to water it. We've also got to worry about the drainage. And, you know, a lot of you guys have probably have witnessed it. You put this beautiful container on a porch, or you put it on concrete, then you start watering it, then it leaks everywhere and starts staining the ground or creates an ugly water stain. So what we did with all of these planters, there's grass over back here to the left behind these cabanas. We ran 6-inch PVC pipe in the concrete. Now we had to lay this out when they were doing the concrete, and it goes all the way up. And we bought catch basins from like Lowe's, just a small 6-inch catch basin, and took the lid off the catch basin, and those are underneath every planter you see. So then what happens is we ran the irrigation pipe, 1-inch pipe, back through that 6-inch pipe and up into these planters. So you've got a pipe with a pipe in it. Well, then what happens is the irrigation can run, but that pipe also allows for the drainage from those planters. So then, you know, around where that planter hits that hole, you just kind of caulk up around it so all the water goes in there. But it was a really good solution. So if you know where your planters are going to go and you're getting ready to do some hardscape, it's something you could look at. If anything ever happens to the irrigation pipe, it's not embedded in the concrete. So all you got to do is go out and dig it out on the other side, pull the whole pipe out, put another piece in, and you're ready to go. Here's some of those containers. Now, as you probably noticed, I like big and bold colors and big and bold design. A lot of the stuff I design is for these resorts that have this massive architectural building or structure behind it, and so, you know, I have to design for that scale, which is these big bold colors. But you can see these planters did great. This Cleome, this is Senorita Rosalita Cleome, the purple tall flower here. Great plant, one of my favorite plants. It's really great to be the backdrop of anything, or in these containers, you know, as the thriller, so to speak. I would just suggest don't put it where people are going to walk by and hit it a lot, because it will shed those flowers. But if it's not in that area where nobody's going to touch it, it's a showstopper. Here's another picture of some of those planters, again, a different style, for another year. I love this right here in the foreground, right here on the bottom right. You can see this Limetime Coleus. It's a great plant. You can see it kind of sticking through. One thing that'll end up happening with these planters, you may have had it when you start getting these petunias and this other stuff that starts trailing over. Late in the season, you'll start getting these gaps and these voids in between, kind of say your filler and your thriller, and you'll start being able to see through there. So the first couple of years we had that, and I'm like, why do we keep getting these gaps? Like, what are we doing wrong? Why are these plants not filling out? So about halfway through, and maybe 2 times during the year, depending on it, we'll take hedge shears and just, it's like giving these things a flat top, like a bowl cut kind of look. And we'll go down through there and cut half of those flowers off just with hedge shears. Just one guy going down through there, cutting them off. And then they'll drop and they'll clean them up. And, you know, it's kind of got a thick line for, I don't know, say a few days whenever they're growing out. But what that does is just, it kind of rejuvenates that plant to fill itself in. Instead of trying for that plant to grow as long as it possibly can, it has to kind of rejuvenate itself, and it'll fill in those gaps late in the season. So it's something just to kind of keep in mind if you've got these big containers like that. Here's another, you know, pop of color, or another container with pop of color. Lots of different stuff there. Those are coffee cups, colocasia. It's a great plant to use. We kind of always like to do kind of crazy styles too. I mean, it's easy to get the Proven Winners book and look through and find combinations, but a lot of stuff we would do just kind of, let's do some trial and error. So that's Limetime Coleus, that real yellow looking Coleus. And that's orange sickle Calibrachoa, the orange Calibrachoa. But the mocha petunias, the white and brown, when I first saw those, I'm like, where are we going to use? Like, I really like this plant, but I don't know where we're going to use it. Like, what does it really go with? But you can see in this design with the begonias and everything, that mocha petunia really pops. I really like, or latte. It's mocha or latte, or mocha latte. I get it confused. I'm going to kind of, some of this stuff I'm going to kind of flip through kind of quick, because I got to get to the other stuff, because I'll run long, because my wife says I like to talk a lot. More containers. One thing, we've got 3 bridges on this property that are going across that creek that I showed you earlier. When I first started it, they were doing like we call these hanging hay racks, or, you know, they're big long hanging baskets. They would do like one and then space out 20 feet and do another one. Well, they just got lost on this big property and amongst these bridges. And so what I wanted to do is, how do we make a big composition using multiple ones? Yeah, at the beginning of the season, you can see it's multiple baskets, but you know, I wanted to design these kind of like I would design a bed. And so this is actually 6 baskets. There's, you know, 3 in the front and 3 in the back. Now you have to do this early on, and you have to plant these and let them fill in. But as you can see, you got the grasses kind of in the middle. You got some other stuff, and then you can kind of see how it fills in over the season. And people love these. If you got a big area that needs a big pop of color, that's really not that, this is very honestly simple to do. And people will be out there taking their pictures and stuff with them. We do a different, this is a 4 count, so this is 2 and 2, just a different style, different grasses. Lots of hanging baskets. I'm going to kind of flip through a lot of this stuff. We do a lot of different containers, and I have ADHD pretty bad, so I kind of get bored with the typical planter design. And so it's something like using lemon coral sedum as your, you know, as your spiller. You know, we've thought of, hey, let's try something different in some of these pots. And I mean, you would never think that that plant would be a good container, would spill over, but it's a great one. As you can see, it really pops with that pot. It just looks really good. We also just kind of, you know, as a landscape architect, I'm going to show you some design stuff, and you're going to be like, Zeke, what are you doing? Like, you know, landscape architects are supposed to have these pretty AutoCAD plans and rendered plans and all this stuff. Well, that's true, but in a project like this and a property like this, I didn't have time to sit down on AutoCAD. So our whiteboard was our AutoCAD. So we were all the time kind of sketching out these different things. We had a lot of ceramic pots on this property. And so again, one pot is going to get lost. So how do I make, you know, multiple pots kind of one big show? And then you can see kind of how that ended up. And using shrubs. Those are firelight hydrangeas. They'll start turning red later in the year. But it was, you know, using something that's a little different than you'd normally see in a container. I'm just going to kind of flip through. This plant on the left is a great plant. This is whenever this plant first came out, this was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago probably. This is Stormburst Verbena. And so we got this from Proven Winners as just a trial plant. I think we got like one flat of these, and so we just kind of stuck them in some containers in different areas. That's a great plant. So storm burst for Verbena. If you get a chance, use it. Oh, sorry, I clicked off my screen. I'm going to kind of flip through some of this stuff. This is a herb garden and vegetable garden that we created there at the casino, that the chefs go out and get stuff. This is just a rendering of the hotel project we're doing now. This is opens up in October. I'm going to kind of flip through this because I'm running out of time. Sorry, guys. This is a botanical garden we're doing in Cherokee, just some renderings. So one garden that I get to do, that I design every year, all the seasonal flowers, is at the Greenbrier. I don't know if you've ever been to the Greenbrier. It's located in West Virginia. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, like Cherokee, but it's America's resort. The Greenbrier's been there since, I think they started going up to the White Sulphur Springs for, medicinal things in the late 1700s. The Greenbrier Resort was built sometime mid 1800s and has been there ever since. And it's an amazing property. I'm very fortunate I get to be involved in it. So if you guys get up there, you gotta get to the Greenbrier. This is the Greenbrier. So at this building, I think they've got 700 rooms, a bunch of restaurants. This resort has anything and everything you could ever think of, from horseback riding to gun clubs and Jeep tours and golf courses, pools, spas, everything. It's a beautiful area. It's definitely a trip you should make, and just to check it out. And it's great year round. I've been up there. I was up there about a month ago, measuring some beds for this year's designs. And it was pretty decent the day I got there. I got there real late that night, and the weather, it was probably 40 or 50 degrees. I woke up the next morning, they had like 4 inches of snow on the ground. So it was pretty interesting trying to measure beds with all that snow. But I've got a video, and it's going to sound a little weird, but I'm going to try to play the sound through my cell phone on this microphone. So we'll start it in just a second. This is kind of the money shot when you pull in to the Greenbrier. You look, and I want everybody to look at that Dusty Miller right there. You saw that, didn't you? Saw that big old white building, and you saw that pop of white color down there. I guarantee you that's what that guy's taking a picture of. It's not the begonias or nothing else. It's like, man, what is this white thing here? This is really cool. All right, I'm gonna play this video and the music from my phone. We'll see if it works. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Can you, Tom?
No, the video's not, or audio's not coming through, but we've got a good video. So good try. Just barely coming through, Zeke.
Yeah.
But we got the video.
Oh, it's got words on the video, so you guys can see that. This is they do. I can't even remember the number of plants. It was some over like 300,000 plants, I think. But you can see all these beds. There's 240 beds on this property of all different sizes. And so one of the North Garden is a Proven Winners signature garden. So we'll talk about it. Just a lot of different plants. It's really cool. And so one thing, Curtis, the guy you just saw in that video, that was a grounds manager, he's since retired, but Curtis had a hard time he had so many beds and so many flowers, and he was kind of a one-man management, kind of like the way that the roles were at the Greenbrier, that it was really hard for him to be able to go out and lay out all the beds and be able to make sure his guys knew where to go and what to do. And so we came up with a system, and sorry. Let me show that again. So we came up with a system for Curtis. And again, as a landscape architect, it's like, I thought you were supposed to do pretty stuff. That's just a real basic plan. And you're right, it is. But what this plan does is this. This is printed on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And it has the design and the dimensions of those huge beds you saw just a second ago in front of the Greenbrier. And we have the design quantity, the square footage, the spacing notes, all of that stuff. And then I've got a column there that says actual quantity, because I want to make sure those guys are writing down how many plants they're actually using. So we have really good historical numbers. But what happens is Curtis, at the beginning of the day, he can go into his crews and he can hand out, you know, hey, you guys are going to do the main front beds. Here's your designs. And they're 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper. If they lose them, they ruin them. Who cares? They're very simple to read. You know, as a landscape architect, I think I've taken it for granted a lot. I know how to read a set of plans. I know how to draw a set of plans. So I can pull out a big 30 by 42 inch set of plans. I can go out there and lay stuff out and figure it out. But, you know, a lot of times that gets lost in translation to our crew members. And, you know, these guys are prideful. They take a lot of pride in what they do, and they don't want to admit they can't really read that plan, or they don't really understand what's going on. And so, you know, they might improvise and they might do something. And it just, this was a way to make sure that we were setting the crew up to succeed when they were planning. This is kind of the center of that big bed, but you can see it's just another basic plan. Gives basic dimensions and kind of the area, the square footages again. So this is another shot of that front bed and how that ended up. The north garden at the Greenbrier is a proven winner's signature garden. I'm very fortunate to be able to design. We're actually we've got a great design for it this year, but we've got a plan. We may renovate the whole thing next year, so it could be an exciting year or so for the north garden. But hey, again, look at that Dusty Miller. You know, I promise I really don't use this plant this much. I don't know why when I was going through pictures to put this presentation together, I'm like, these people probably think all I use is Dusty Miller and red begonias. I promise I don't. I promise. I'm a much more dignified designer than that. Now, probably not, but anyway, that is such an awesome plant. This is another video. I'm going to try to get the video. Zeke Cooper, Winner Certified Landscape Professional. I'm going to show you around one of my favorite gardens I can design. This is the Winner Signature Garden.
Hey, Zeke, it's not coming through very good, unfortunately. It's behind the video. Got it.
So I'll just talk. So first off,
Yeah.
I threw that shirt away because it was way too tight. I actually burned that shirt, I think. But anyway, the camera adds like 20 pounds. So this is the north garden, and what I'm talking about here is just kind of looking at the designs for this was 2 years ago. And so as you walk through, people are going to be really close to these beds, and they're going to, you know, put on the go. So you can see the royal velvet, or these are not royal velvet. I can't remember. Bordeaux petunias and limoncello petunias. That's really going to pop, you know, comes out. And then the center that is trying to keep up with myself here as I'm talking. Sorry, guys, the audience. I can't help but look up. Anyway, glad I got rid of it. As I walk on down here in the garden, you can see this is like the money shot of this garden. When people are walking up from either way, or they walk out of the north garden entrance at the Greenbrier, they're looking right at this. And so you can see we use liquid forward. We don't go all the way around the front just to get it pop. So I really like that big pop color. But hey, there's some Dusty Miller in there. You can see it. It's going to pop up in it, and then the pop up for this thing. And just a second. The after used a lot of Angelonia in this bed too. We're going to talk about it. You'll see it's another great plant. This video is on my website, so you can hear the what I'm rambling about if you'd like to go back and look. But there's that bed 4 to 6 weeks later, and I've got another picture of it here. So 4 to 6 weeks later, so that's not it. Here's that bed as it's filling in. This is 4 weeks later. Again, another reason why you know, I use proven winners plants and I specify them in all my designs, shrubs, annuals, perennials, everything, is because I don't have to worry about those plants not performing. You don't see any dead plants there. You don't see anything that's not performing. I mean, look at, you know, how like all of that lemon coral, every one of them, they're all growing out. They're all filling out the same. You know, in a week or a couple more weeks, that would all be, you know, a big carpet. But just look at all the plants throughout that landscape. You don't have gaps. You don't have anything that's that's hasn't performed or has died or anything like that. So the Canna Lilies that you can see, the red and yellow Canna Lilies, that's another great Proven Winners plant. I use it a lot. Those are the Toucan series. And I think this is Heart of the Jungle, right back here in the middle. I always get that one confused. But here's that Angelonia. So this is super white Angelonia, and it's only about half grown right there. But you can see it over on the sides mixed in with super blue. That's a great plant. It's just these big spires of yellow, of white and purple. It's a great plant to use. There's also a pink one. This is another year at the Greenbrier. This is all green with Bewitched green with Indie sweet potato vine. Love this sweet potato vine. You can see how it fills out to really get that pop of color. Some of this stuff I'm gonna have to flip through kind of quick because I know I'm running out of time. Lemon coral sedum, you can see, that picture before as it was filling out. Look whenever that fills in throughout the year. It's like this carpet. There's actually a video of me laying in that stuff. My wife won't let me post it because she says I look like a moron, but that is a great plant. And if you ever get a chance to lay in a big old field of it, just lay down in it because it's awesome. Look at that Dusty Miller. If you're a PGA, if you're a golf fan and you ever watch the Greenbrier Classic on TV, this is always one of the big money shots right at the clubhouse of this bed. This is a huge bed, but again, 8.5 by 11, some quick dimensions and the plants, what they're going to be in that area, and then you can see how that ended up with the lemon coral, the Dusty Miller. This is a seed variety begonia. They were trying to save some money. I really wish they would have used Surefires this year because Surefires are the best. But they're again, those Canna Lilies, and then throw some hydrangeas back there in the back for good measure. This is one of the first years I'd ever used that super blue Angelonia, and you read about how tall it's going to get. It's going to get 42 inches tall and all this. And I'm like, there's no way. That's optimal. That plant's not going to get that big. So I'm like, I'm going to put this big swath of color in front of the Limetime Coleus because the Limetime Coleus will get bigger. Well, that didn't happen, as you can tell. The Angelonia got a lot taller than everything. You can kind of see the Coleus peeking through back there. So that's another thing. When you see it on a Proven Winners tag, what it says it'll do, it's gonna do. Don't be like me and think that you're smarter than the people creating that at Proven Winners, because they are the experts. This is a garden kind of in the back. Again, I just wanted just one big pop of color, one big band of red right in front of these boxwoods, just to give it a dramatic look in front of these fountains. They do weddings and stuff back there. And then they've got all this area at the Greenbrier. It's like 10,000 acres or something. But they had this voided area. Like they had some old shrubs that had kind of died out behind these. And I'm like, this is like 3 firelight hydrangeas. And this is the second year. Look how those have filled in. So they got like, what, 60, 80 bucks in those 3 firelights, or $100. And look what it did after a year. This is an Infiniti series of Impatiens. I use these a lot. This is a great plant, sun or shade. I was very hesitant to use it in kind of, areas that even get full sun. That's what they're for. They're sun patients. And I was like, there's no way these plants are going to do it. Well, they do. They perform, and they are awesome. Couple pots. They've got some containers, and we just kind of mix some stuff in. And then I'm going to flip through this video. One thing we're doing with Proven Winners too is we've designed a couple botanical trails. One of those is in Cherokee. This one there's 2 going to be at the Greenbrier that are kind of in different stages. This is down along the golf course, and they've got a river that kind of goes through their property. And so the point of this botanical trail, this is like a meditation walking area kind of area in the property where people just go and walk and meditate, and they do yoga. And so the point of this is just to put, these big pockets of shrubs to kind of separate that from the golf, but to show off some of these different shrubs as well. This is an area that kind of goes up through the woods that has some different viewing platforms that we're doing some native ferns and hostas and that kind of thing in. And then the last resort that I'll tell you guys, one of the ones that I get to do design work for every year that's very exciting is at Pinehurst. And so this is the Carolina Hotel. They got a big grand entrance into the Carolina. The guy that's the grounds manager there, his name's Chris Jones. He does an amazing job. He's a great guy. He's an attention to detail fanatic, and I'm very lucky to know him and just, worked with him in the past. He does a wonderful job at Pinehurst. Please get down there and check it out if you can. And if you ever see Chris or know Chris, tell him how beautiful a job he does. But these are some more designs along that entry road. And again, people are driving into this resort at different times. So we wanted to create these big pops of color. And so, I've probably got, let's say 40 to 50 plants of proven winners that I kind of use on rotation in different areas. And the reason I do that is I've got these plants that I know are going to perform. And so every year we throw in a couple more here and there. But, I've got to make sure these guys are trusting me to invest a lot of money in their landscape. So we've got to make sure we're giving them plants that we know are going to perform, as well as all the new stuff. And you know what? We've never really had any complaints with these plants. Look at that Dusty Miller. And this, I know it seems like overkill. This was probably a year that I didn't use it somewhere else. I had to use it there. But it's going to be at a Zeke Cooper landscape somewhere in America, I can promise you. This is the area. This is the West Garden at Pinehurst. This is becoming a proven winner signature garden. There's a lot of plans to do some stuff in some other areas that Chris has been working on. There's a couple pockets of annuals, the weddings and all this. There's this big lawn area. And so what Chris is creating here, we've worked with Chris along this back wall. This is like the backdrop. When you walk out of the hotel, you're looking at this big wall of hollies and different shrubs and azaleas. But we've worked with Chris to create this big band of shrubs and perennials all along that wall. And so this is something that he's slowly implementing at Pinehurst, getting in there. We'll do it stages so it can mature and just be this huge pop of color against that wall of green. You can see some of the different plants we're using there. Mix of hydrangeas, some evergreen hollies, and then some different stuff that's going to provide some really cool some really cool flowers and even berries like beauty berry and different things. So one way that what I think about when I always design, and I learned this from all those years at the casino, is I was having, again, I was designing stuff, we were building it, but I had to take care of it. And so I kind of designed in reverse. And I know that sounds crazy. This picture is at the Cherokee Indian Museum in Cherokee. We designed this landscape and put stuff in. They didn't really take care of it. You can see how overgrown it was. But I really wasn't that worried, because I was like, at first I was like, man, they're not taking care of it. It looks like crap. The Bermuda's kind of ingrown. They won't do anything. Well, then my old buddy elk, my elk friends came in. They just started eating everything down to mulch. So I was like, hey, that's good. That's instant weed control. If those guys aren't going to take care of it, the elk will. So these are kind of like the mascots of Cherokee. They're all over town, these big elk. But anyway, the first thing I think about before I ever design a landscape is who's going to maintain it. What are the client's expectations long term? Who are they going to hire to take care of it, or are they going to do their self? And what kind of budget is that client prepared to invest weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly? If they say, everybody wants a low maintenance landscape, which that's, a buzzword, low maintenance. Everything has a cost. Everything is going to have some kind of maintenance. So do they want to put in $100 a month? Or are they willing to invest a couple $1,000s a month? I need to know that before I ever start designing. So I kind of create a checklist for that. And then, I want to know, what are we good at, or what are they good at? What is the company that they're going to go out and hire? How good are they? If they've got a local landscape maintenance company, what do they do well? I kind of am interviewing them. I call them up and I ask them, what are their strengths and weaknesses? All of that. I want to know all that about the client and what they're expecting in the future before I ever start designing it. And then I do the same with construction. Before I ever start designing, I need to know what kind of subcontractors do I have in the area. Of those that are qualified, what are their strengths and weaknesses? And I want to know that they think about long-term maintenance, and I've got to be involved with them through construction. And the reason I say all this is I can design, and many of you that are on this call that are designers, we can design anything somebody wants, and we can make it amazing on paper. We can create a great rendering and all this stuff. But if it's not built well and it's not maintained, we fail as a designer. So I want to know, if I've got a contractor that this client wants to use, or that's going to be my best price, if he's not good at masonry walls, I don't need to specify a block wall. I need to go talk to that contractor. What are you good at? What are your strengths? Show me some of your work. Maybe he's the best guy there's ever been in boulder walls. Well, I need to design boulder walls. And I know, you know, some people say, oh, well, just find another contractor. That's easy to say when you're in a market that has a lot of contractors. In some of these areas that I work, there's a limited number of contractors, and I'm sure you guys are in the same boat. You know, same thing. Checklist for construction. What are we good at, and what materials can I easily get? You know, that's another one, especially during times of COVID. And then finally, you know, I designed the landscape. So I think I'm done. I think I got through everything, Tom and Jane. Are there any questions? I think I left enough time for Jack to get on here.
Zeke, I've got one from my end. I don't know if Jane and Jeff have a question from their end, but first off, if somebody has a landscape design need for a large property, are you interested in that? Number one, where can they go to contact you?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely am interested. Exciting projects excite me, and I would love to be involved with stuff. I work kind of all over the East Coast. You can go to my website. It's Zeke Cooper, Z-E-K-E, Cooper, COOPER.com. My contact info is on there. I'll go back and put it up on the screen as we're talking through, or you can email me at Zeke@ZekeCooper.com. Feel free to reach out. My cell phone's on there as well.
Great, thanks, Zeke. Jane, anything from your end? I don't.
No, I don't see any other questions. So
Okay.
I think Zeke, I'm going to turn it over to Jack, if that's all right with you.
Okay, Zeke, thank you very much. We appreciate your commitment to Proven Winners and to us.
Go in front of Jack. Usually I have to go after him, and those are hard shoes to fill. So I'm pumped I got to go before him.
Now we'll see if he's as good as you are. So thank you, Zeke.
Thank you, Zeke. We appreciate your commitment to us.
No one can see you, it says.
Yeah, push it. It has to be all green. Dead.
Oh,
Okay, we're trying to get Jack up here. Can you hear us, Jack?
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, got you. Yeah, I just want to say real quick, welcome. Thanks for being a part of our program today. And I want all of our attendees to know that Jack is, he's usually working up in Mackinac Island. That's where we all got to know him. But when it gets cold up there, he can't stand it. So he heads down to Florida, and that's where he works with a company called C3 Gardens. And but most of us know him from Barnwell Landscape and Gardens up on the Mackinac Island. And Jack is a Proven Winners certified landscape professional, as was Zeke Cooper that was just on. And we appreciate everything Jack does for us. He originated this Proven Winners Aquapot program, and we wanted him to tell you all about it because there's nobody better to talk about it than Jack, who originated it. So you're on, Jack.
Okay, and everybody can see me all right?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Hey, everybody. Again, I'm Jack, and thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jane, for putting this on, and thanks, Zeke, for that highly entertaining presentation. It was great to see you, and hope to talk to you and catch up with you soon. I do not have any Dusty Miller to show everybody, so I'm sorry for the disappointment, but we are going to talk about aquapots. I do have a few planters and stuff here, and just a little bit of time. So aquapots are, as you can see, beautiful, high-end, glazed, gorgeous ceramic pottery, and they are self-watering. So it's the only product of its kind on the market whatsoever in any kind of, you know, high-end, high-design, quality product. And we use them tremendously down south here, up north, and everywhere in between. They are available nationwide, and distributed through BFG is our distribution partner, and Proven Winners and Forest Art Greenhouse also have quite a bit of stock of them coming in this spring, so you can get them from any of those sources. So what is an aquapot? I've got a smaller one here that's a little easier for me to work with and handle, but as you can see, gorgeous, lots of different styles and designs and stuff like that. I'll show you the catalog in a second. But every aquapot, if you can see this, there's no hole in the bottom. The hole, the drainage hole, is way up here on the side, right below this rim. If you can kind of see that, I don't know how good the lighting is, but right below that rim that is integrated into the clay, into the mold during the construction process of these pieces. That's a really important factor. It gives it a tremendous amount of strength, because these very, very simple components, again, all this stuff is made at the factory in Vietnam and shipped with the pieces. So it all comes ready to go. All you have to do to put it together is that. It's that simple. All of these threads are on there, so you have all this adjustability, so the disc and the soil tube can be adjusted to sit right on that rim and form a nice tight seal. Then what we call the fill tube has this nice little angled cut on the bottom, goes into that little hole there, and this is ready to plant. You fill it up with your potting soil. Soil goes all the way down in that soil tube, that core toward the middle, and then obviously fill the rest of the pot. For our much, much larger aquapots like this one, or some that are even quite a bit bigger, it saves a lot of soil, and then you've got this fertilizer infused reservoir underneath the pots or underneath the plants that's wicking moisture, fertilizer infused moisture up into the plants. So plants have 24/7 access to that, rich, beautiful fertilizer infused water. It's like having a Whole Foods in your backyard. I keep saying fertilizer infused, and what I mean by that is we put slow release fertilizer. The Proven Winners slow release fertilizer is awesome. We put it right in the tank at planting. For most of our aquapots, a couple scoops of slow release once per month is enough. The EC readings and stuff on that water is perfect. Supertunias, you name it, annuals, shrubs, tropicals just thrive and do really, really well in these things. So we've got a whole bunch of them. We do have a short PowerPoint that we'll flip through to show you guys a few of my favorites and some of what they look like in the landscape, and to give you an idea of the scale and shapes and colors and stuff that they come in. And then we'll review in a second here where you can source them, where you can get them, and make sure you have all that information as well. So let's see if we can figure this out.
Hey, Jack, one question.
Sure.
How frost hardy are these pots?
Okay, so the frost hardiness of the pots themselves, they are, they say, what do they say when they come? Frost proof, and we've left them out up on Mackinac Island and stuff through the winter. All aquapots are designed so that the insert and everything like that can move and can lift, so that if you do have water in there and it freezes and stuff like that, all of that has room for expansion. However, we haven't had an issue, but I wouldn't recommend it whatsoever, just because of the high quality, the glazing of these pieces. And most of the northern climates that I work in, we get so much snow that somebody is bound to hit them with a shovel or a snowblower or a snowmobile or a plow or something. And so all of our clientele, all of our jobs and stuff like that, we clean them out completely, take apart, clean the components all apart, and just store them in a shed or under the house or in a garage or something, and replant them up the next season. So I don't recommend that they are left out in the winter or anything like that, but yeah, but again, we haven't had one crack because of it. Any other questions? Are we ready to go?
I think that's it for now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I think up here, show screen, click on that down arrow.
Yeah.
Click on the down arrow.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then click on your
Okay.
presentation.
Okay.
You do it in PowerPoint mode.
Got it. I have my lovely assistant here because I'm not nearly as computer savvy. Okay, so the first slide here, you can see a little bit of our work down here in Florida. We, like I said, we plant up aquapots all over the place, but I've literally built a company down here on planting aquapots. Because they don't have that drainage in the bottom, they're really a beautiful clean finish on all the travertine and marble and tile work that is, you know, around all the pools and lanais and entryways down here. So they're a really gorgeous planter to use for the properties that we take care of down here. And then a few of my favorite styles and types of aquapots. This is what we call the hipster. And this guy comes in a lot of different colors and finishes and stuff like that. But the shape of those planters are really beautiful, super sexy on any landscape, and probably our most popular pot right there is the hipster. And all these pallets for wholesale, for all of you landscapers, architects, and designers, all of these come wholesale per pallet. The hipster, there's only 8 pots on a pallet. Some of them, like this one behind me, the diamond medallion, there's only 6 pots on a pallet. So you can easily design them into a patio, an entryway, a lanai, and burn up a pallet per design, you know, quite easily. We don't ship all the real small, dinky little pots that typically come with a pallet of pots because those aren't aquapots. We only made aquapots and aquapot pallet counts with pots that work really well and last at least a week between waterings anywhere in the country. This is the broad vase. I love these. We've got this large one that's behind me is a broad vase, and the small skinny ones are really slender and beautiful at the side of a door entry. Another one of my favorites is the Techno. These are really popular up north as well in the white and blue. That's by far the most popular colors is the white, blue, ultramarine kind of teal colors. Really anywhere in the country, those are the #1 colors, #1 selling colors, and have been for years. But that Techno is a really cool style because it kind of can go cottagey, but also real modern. And then we've got some vases and bowls. In the Techno, you get 16 pots on that pallet, and that pallet mixes vases and bowls. So really easy one to design a whole nice collection for somebody. This is the diamond medallion, another one of my favorites for sure. In the white, it's just stunning. You can see in the middle there, beautifully displays that all those tropicals there. And that's what I've got right here behind me. Like I said, that one comes 6 pots to a pallet. So there's 2 nests of 3. So there's these 2 and one more that's even larger that comes on that pallet. Let's see what else I got. So this is the 2021 Aquapots catalog. It has all of the different pallet selections and styles and information on all the sizing and wholesale pricing. If you order in any more bulk quantities or anything like that, that pricing is variable and such. But I, highly recommend that you guys download that catalog so you can check out everything that we have in the Aquapots offerings. You can find it at provenwinners.com on the professionals side of the site. If you search for that Aquapots catalog, that will be a great resource for you all. And any questions and stuff like that, you guys can certainly contact me, ask me. You can get my info from Jane, or I'm just Jack at c3gardens.com. Also, for ordering aquapots, we have up on here, contact your BFG supply rep. If any of you landscapers are using BFG already for mulch or fertilizers or soils and things like that, they're a massive distribution company nationwide. So BFG supply is distributing aquapots, but also directly through Proven Winners or from 4-Star Greenhouse. Those guys are great and can also certainly help you out. So how do I get back to it? I think I'm done with that. So how do I? Can you guys all still see me?
Okay, so right there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Everybody else have any questions or anything like that?
Jack, just one quick question from my end. Can you speak to the larger sizes of aquapots? What's coming down the pike for, say, commercial use, that type of thing? Are there options now, and are there things coming down the pike?
Yeah, we have a lot of, really big ones that are already available. And we use a lot of the really big stuff down here in Naples for commercial and residential properties. So, like I said, I didn't really have the time or the muscle to haul a bunch of those huge ones back here for this little presentation, but the catalog is a great resource to check those out. You can also check out, any and all of our social media. You can see a lot of different video and photos of some of the bigger stuff that we're doing down here with those to get an idea of some of the scale on those guys. And we are designing, for next year and the year after, the line of aquapots already. And we're designing some really big, beautiful jumbo stuff for commercial and large scale settings for sure. Because there's a tremendous demand for that, especially in self-watering. We have some of our larger pieces that go 1 month between waterings, even in the full summer sun down here. They can go a month between waterings and thrive really well. So that thick ceramic wall helps tremendously, and they just perform really, really well.
Okay. Great, Jack. Thanks for jumping in and giving us a preview of those. We appreciate it. And good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
And for all our attendees, thank you so much for being a part of our program this week. We appreciate it. I want to remind everybody we're going to send out recordings for both days. You'll probably get that within a couple of days. And included in that will be a recording of the interview with our breeder at Spring Meadow Nursery, Megan Matthew, that we were unable to show on Tuesday. So you'll get that, and hopefully you can show these recordings and video to your crew members and your staff. And please visit our website now. Again, as I mentioned, provenwinnerspros.provenwinners.com for any further events that we have or landscape roadshows. We'll be posting those throughout the year. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.